Hi, and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to search for a peer-reviewed original research article in EBSCO databases, and then how to cite that article using APA citation. So the first thing that you want to do is navigate to the library homepage. Our URL is library.fairmontstate.edu, or there are a few other ways that you could get here. For instance, there's a link in Blackboard, there is a link to the library in the portal, and on the Fairmont State main page under Quick Links, there's also a link. Once you're on the library's homepage, you want to navigate to Research Tools. In this block is a link to all of our databases, so let's check that out. Here you have all of our databases listed. They're organized by subject, so you could simply select the education databases. They are listed alphabetically, so you could go to E and select EBSCO. One way that I really like to go in is through Academic Search Ultimate. Because EBSCO is a platform that hosts many different databases, the interface is going to look the same, but you can tell which database you're searching by looking above the search bar. And if we wanted to change this and we've changed our mind and decided that we'd like to select education databases specifically, we can choose databases here. So we could select our education databases and we can kind of hover over this and see what that includes. Once you've selected your databases, then you're going to want to put in some search terms. I think one topic that is kind of a hot topic, a current issue, is online learning and anxiety in students. So you might have the research question, how does online learning impact students' anxiety levels, if it does? So from that, some keywords that you might pick out are online learning, or you might choose to phrase that as remote learning, anxiety, or you might choose to phrase that as emotional well-being, depending on how you want to look at the issue. And so what you want to do is sit down and write yourself a little word cloud of all the keywords that you can think of, and then you're going to mix and match those and see which ones return the best results. So let's try our phrase of online learning and anxiety. And so I've capitalized the and because it's what we call a Boolean operator, which are basically three little words, and, or, and not, that we can use to pair our keywords together and create search strings. So right now I am looking for online learning and anxiety, and that means that I'm telling EBSCO to only return things if they contain both of those concepts or both of those keywords. The OR connector could be used to say online learning or remote learning, since it might be addressed in different ways. The NOT connector might, for example, be used if you were turning up a lot of articles on depression and you wanted to say online learning and anxiety, not depression, because you aren't trying to look at that aspect of mental well-being in students.
Okay, we have our search terms, online learning and anxiety. Before we click search, let's take a look at our search options or filters. Right now it's set to Boolean search mode. You can adjust that if you like. You can also limit your results in a number of different ways. There's the full text limiter, and that will limit to only those resources that you can access the full text of immediately. There's also peer-reviewed, and since we're looking for peer-reviewed articles, we know we absolutely want to check this one. You can also select a particular publication, a publication date. There are image quick view types, and there are other special limiters like publication type. And for each database, these are going to look just a little bit different. For instance, for Academic Search Complete, it's going to be called periodical. For ERIC, it'll be called journal article. And for Library Information Science and Technology abstracts, it'll be listed as academic journal. Let's make these selections and go ahead and search. So as you can see, we have returned 726 results. One other thing that we might consider doing is putting quotation marks around our phrase here, online learning. Now this isn't required, but it lets EBSCO know that we're looking for this phrase, not just the random occurrence of both of these words within an article or a title. And we can see that after we click search, we have reduced our number of results to 647. So we've weeded out a couple things that might not have been relevant. Okay, now let's take a look at our actual results here. Each result will list the title in a bold heading that is a hyperlink to that record, followed by author information, journal information, and all of the publication information that you would use to create the perfect APA citation. You can also pay attention to the subjects that are available on each record. Sometimes we can use these to build out our word cloud. For example, if we hadn't thought about searching for electronic learning or perhaps blended learning, then we might consider adding those to our word cloud if appropriate, and then we can also mix and match those terms in our search strings. So to access one of these articles, you're going to be looking for a full text link, and that might manifest in a couple different ways. So this article you can see has full text from Eric, and if we follow that through, we can see that Eric provides a PDF of the article right over here on the right-hand side. Now, PDF versions are very helpful because they are essentially photocopies of what would appear in a journal. You also might have an option for HTML full text, and that is just basically going to be the text with no formatting like you would see in the journal article. One thing that you can do as you go down your list is if you hover over this little magnifying glass icon, you can see some more information about the article, including the abstract, without having to click into it. You might also see a direct link to PDF full text, like you see right here. And in that case, if you click the PDF full text, it's going to take you straight into that article. Now, one thing I want to point out, you may occasionally see an article or some resource that does not have a full text link. That means that the library only has the abstract for that article, but we don't have the full text. If you wanted to borrow that article through interlibrary loan, you would click on the title and then request this item through interlibrary loan. That's a process that is free to students, but it takes about 2 to 3 days typically to get an article, so you want to factor that timeline into your own research timeline as well. If you want to eliminate those abstract articles and only see those articles that you would have full text access to, you can limit to full text over on the left-hand side. As I mentioned, all those filters are still there for you to adjust appropriately. In fact, we can even select academic journals as our source type. And now we've whittled down our list of results to 385 results. Now, we aren't simply looking for a peer-reviewed article. We're looking for original research, right? And that means there's not a particular filter, unfortunately, that you can click on the left-hand side that says original research. So what we have to do is be a little bit more critical in our review of these articles. For instance, let's take a look at this number 2 here. If we hover over, we can see information about this article, including subjects that we might include in our word cloud, but we can also take a look at the abstract. Now, when we are looking for original research, some of the keys that let us know that we found it are the study mentioned in the article was completed by the researchers who are also the authors. They have an objective or a hypothesis or a research question for their study. They have used a particular methodology or a particular measurement tool to get information on their topic. And they will tell you about findings or results of that study. So if we look at this one, we see that there's an objective to the study, that they have used a survey to gather data. We can see how many students were involved, and we can see that there are going to be findings of this study. And so you really have to look at these with a critical eye and pay attention for those particular pieces. Occasionally, I'll add a term to my search like methodology to try to make sure that I'm getting things that are mentioning a particular methodology. You really have to pay close attention that the author is talking about their own research, their own experiment, their own study. So now that we have talked a little bit about how to find and access an article, let's talk about how to cite one using APA. Let's pretend that this survey study is the perfect article for our research paper or project. Clicking on the title will take you to the detailed record. We can see that we can access the full text from Eric here, and we have a lot of really good information that lets us know about the source and other publication data for our citation. Now, I will tell you that in EBSCO and in other databases, in WorldCat, our catalog, you will see citation widgets or options. And so we can click the Cite option over here, and we can scroll down to APA, and we can see what EBSCO thinks the APA citation should look like for this article. Now this one actually looks pretty good, but you always need to pay attention to formatting, to capitalization, italicization, all of those things that go into crafting the perfect citation. This one actually looks pretty decent, but we're going to take a look at how to craft this using Purdue OWL on our own by hand. And that's the way that I recommend citations be crafted.